Yeah, God bless you so much for joining in on my channel. And here we are going to learn. We want to be free, we want to be strong, we want to prevail, we want to win. And we are going to be discussing on how to defeat masturbation, how to overcome masturbation. A lot of people are indulged in the practice of masturbation, and it seems to look as if it's a normal thing to do in our generation today. But we are going to make some discoveries about this practice called masturbation. Then we will also learn how to overcome it. So just watch to the end, and I know that your life will not be the same. You surely be blessed. First and foremost, masturbation is an act that involves three main things. It has to do with the individual. It has to do with you that is involved in masturbation. It has to do with you. And if it has to do with you, there are three things involved here. It is the act which the body is used to do. Then it is also an act that is conceived in the soul. Then it's also an energy that is transmitted by the spirit, by your spirit. So your spirit is involved, your soul is involved, your body is involved. Your spirit receives the energy, it receives the force, the spirit. It captures it, or your spirit is captured. Then the energy is injected into your spirit, and your spirit transmits that energy to your soul, into your soul. Now, in your soul, it is processed as a habit, as a character. Then it can become an addiction depending upon the force that is exerted on your soul. Then your soul discharges or dispenses that character or energy in the form of your action, which now involves your body, which you do with yourself. But you realize that sometimes, or many a times, when you have masturbated, you sometimes you finish with regrets. You finish with pains. You wish you wouldn't go back. You wish you didn't go back, but it has it has already taken place, and you wish it won't happen again. But the next moment you find yourself going back, the appetite is coming back again. Yes, the appetite is coming back again because the appetite is stored in your soul. And anytime the spirit, which is your spirit, gives a pressure to the soul is forced to discharge it as your actions, which you find yourself uh, doing. So we want to learn how to deal with masturbation. This is the right, pure way. And if you follow the instructions that I'm going to give to you, you're going to be able to overcome it. Okay. The body is only responding to what is happening in the spirit. Your soul and your spirit are spiritual points of your body, spiritual components that you have. So your body is the only physical part, but you don't see your soul, you don't see your spirit. But the thing is that you express your spirit and you express your soul. You express your soul and you express your spirit. And where do you express them? In the body, with your body. That's what you are doing. It's what is in the spirit and the soul that you're expressing with your body. So you can only experience the action or see the action of what the body is doing. But then that action is only corresponding to something that is happening from the realm of your spirit and from the realm of your soul. So if you want to deal with masturbation, you will not just have to focus on the bodily aspects, or thinking how am I going to overcome this. No, you need to learn how to deal with the pressure in your soul, and how to deal with the energies in your spirit. You need to learn how to do that before you can see uh, a certain measure of freedom from this oppression. In fact, masturbation is an oppression. It will enslave you. It will give you no space, no freedom. It will dictate to you what to do. It will give you pressure, unnecessary pressure. It's your soul that has been bound. That heart has been bound. Your soul is in bondage, and until the soul is free, you will never be free. So we must first learn how to deal with those components in order to set ourselves free. Masturbation can affect your mental health. mentally. It gives you mental retardation. Your thinking ability, your thinking capacity will be limited. It will drain the energy of your mind. That's what it does. It will give you pressure, give you depression. It will give you high blood pressure. It will destroy you mentally. It will destroy you spiritually. It will destroy you bodily. You weaken up. You lose weight. That's what masturbation does. But the truth is, anytime this desire comes, you just don't know what to do. You just don't know what to say. You just don't know uh, where to go. You just don't know what to engage yourself with to help yourself. That is it. You can also decide that I'm going to engage myself with certain things so that the thought of the masturbation will not come. But trust me, it is a pressure that enters your thought pattern, and then it flashes through your body. So you realize that as much as you are trying to engage certain things to stay away from it, it's become very difficult and a challenge to be able to overcome it completely. But what I'm coming to teach you, if you follow it, I trust that God will be your help and you will be able to overcome it. So now, first, let's look at how to deal with the soul. You know, the soul is a part of your thoughts, where your thoughts are processed. So anything that comes from the spirit into your soul, it has to be processed. And many a times, most of the things that are processed are stored in your soul. They become the pattern of your soul, which you now express as your lifestyle or as your habits. So, how do we deal with what the content of the soul? How do we change? How do we rewrite, or how do we format the soul and then rewrite the soul? How do we decode the soul and recode the soul? How do we uh, uh, reprogram our soul? You know, your soul was created by God, and when God was creating your soul, He created your soul in such a way that your soul can be reprogrammed. Actually, the content of your soul can be changed so that when there's a content that you do not like, you can do away with that content and bring in a new content, and that content can become your lifestyle. That is why our belief system can change. So basically, the soul operates on the strength of knowledge. So informations coming from different sources come together into your mind, then they become they are processed in your mind, they are kept in your heart, then they become something like a lifestyle. They become something like a behavior. They become something like an attitude that now you begin to exhibit. They become something like a nature that you have acquired and now you begin to express. So masturbation can be one of those things processed that came through your mind. I mean, processed by your heart, and its residence in your heart, and now it's being expressed as a nature that you possess. So the sure way to flash your soul, the sure way to change the content of your soul, is to use the word of God. That's why I initially said that God created your soul and He knows how to flash your soul. So the spiritual resource for you to be able to cleanse your soul is the word of God. If you don't use the word of God, you will only contaminate your soul the more. You will only introduce more content, more polluted content, more uh, infected, more infectious content to infect your soul. For example, masturbation is an infection in the soul. So you want to deal with that infection, and you don't need to introduce a content that will rather infect your soul the more, but you need to introduce a content that will deal with the infections and set your soul free from the infections. So if you don't use the word of God and you try to use other materials, there's a high possibility that you will end up infecting your soul the more instead of rather setting your soul free. So information comes from different places. Knowledge comes from different places. It could be your screen, your TV, your laptop, your phone, your tablet. It could be a magazine you are reading. Any content that is sexually perverted is a content that can incite that energy of the soul, that masturbation habit that is in you. It can incite it, it can excite it, it can stir it up, and then cause you to engage in that act. So the first thing is that you don't want to deal with content that are polluted, content that are sexually perverted. You want to stay away from those content, whether it is a song. And so Here, I would advise you stay away from a lot of movies, a lot of songs, secular songs, a lot of magazines that are secular based. They are not Christ-centered based. What we are doing here is that we are trying to deal with the content that is in our soul, which is not Christ-based. And once it is not Christ-based, it can be a tool to incite any form of negative energies that has been accumulated in your soul. So you can't use the polluted material to flush that which is polluted in your soul. You can't. You need a clean resource, a clean substance to be able to do the flushing, to be able to cleanse your soul. So we want to handle materials that are Christ-centered. So the number one tool, or the number one source of information, knowledge-based information that you have to depend on is the Word of God. Is the Word of God. You will need to rely on the Word of God. You will need to read it. Read the Word over and over. Read it over and over, because in the Word is the Spirit of God. In the Word is the Spirit of God, and as you engage the Spirit of God, He will write. The Word of God will actually work on your soul. He will work on your soul. Your soul can be restored. So what you need is the material or the resource that is designed to restore your soul. And the only material that has the capacity, that has the power to restore your soul, it is the Word of God. There's no other material that I know of. There's no other material that I know of apart from the Word of God. There's no other material. So you want to have access to the Word of God, and you want to study and just study and learn. That is the number one way out to flash your soul. That's the first step to do in attempting to set yourself free from the bondage of masturbation. Then we also go to the spiritual aspect. How do we deal with the spirit? Now, why we need to deal with the spirit is that there are a lot of energy, spiritual entities that moves around us. A lot of spiritual beings that moves around us that our eyes don't see. Because this world we are living in is a visible world, but there is also invisible world. And the invisible world influences the visible world. So there are a lot of spirit entities that moves around, and most of them, what they do is that they look for vessels. These vessels are nothing but soul. That's why your soul is a target. So they look for vessels to be able to express themselves. They look for vessels to feel. They look for vessels to enter, to be able to express their nature. So masturbation is a nature of a spirit. Don't let anybody tell you that masturbation is normal. Masturbation is from you. It is you trying to excite yourself sexually. It is you trying to uh, have sexual pleasures because you don't want to involve with any man or any woman. So it's a cool way of dealing with your sexual desires and appetites. No, there first has to be an energy introduced. Your spirit first has to be engaged with an external spirit, an external force. And because the energy of your spirit is low, when the external force comes in, it is able to suppress your spirit. It's able to enforce its nature into your soul through your spirit here. So if you are going to look at this as just something that is normal and it's coming from you, you are never going to be able to deal with it. And it will affect you big time. It can affect your marriage. People with masturbation don't have stable marriages. This is what makes it demonic, devilish, satanic. So you're going to have to look at it from the spirit perspective. How to disengage yourself from these spirits. These spirits are contaminants. The moment they get in touch with your spirit, they transmit themselves into your soul. They transmit their ambition, they transmit their will, they transmit their desire. What they are, it begins to now uh, represent in your life through your soul. So your spirit first makes a contact with them, or they make contact with your spirit. Then from your spirit, it is directed to your soul. So anytime they want you to engage in masturbation, the pressure is put on your spirit. And when your spirit receives that pressure, it transmits the pressure through your soul, because the appetite is already being installed in your soul. So now all that your body does is to execute it. So you want to find ways of dealing with your spirit, so that your spirit uh, stays free from these kinds of engagements. And many a time people are not defended spiritually. That is why you find this kind of spirits accessing their spirit, this kind of energies being transmitted through their spirit, and it becomes a bondage in their life. So you have to defend your spirit. And the way you defend your spirit, you're going to have to learn how to be prayerful. You're going to learn how to be prayerful. You're going to have, because your spirit is supposed to be drawing energy from God. Your spirit is supposed to be drawing energy from God. And once your spirit is not drawing energy from God, your spirit will be weak. The source of energy of your spirit is God. So you draw your energy from God, and the way you do that is to learn how to pray. I'm going to teach in other sections on prayer and how to practically engage prayer to be able to and draw or tap into this energy. So you have energies for defenses, for protections from these spirits. You have energies of wisdom. You have energies of insight. You have energies of power. You have energies of love. Different dimensions of energies are available in God that we are supposed to draw, but you need to learn how to do that. All right. So once you are in prayer, now your spirit gets energy from God, gets energized. And the energy that is coming from God is light. It is light energy. It comes as light, it comes as heat. But then, if any energy apart from the energies of God is already in your spirit, or they attempt to enter your spirit, it's like light and darkness meeting. There's no way light and darkness will meet and the darkness will overcome the light. So the moment the energy of God resides in your spirit, or your spirit is increasing in God's energy, any other external energy which is in the of darkness that comes, the light in your spirit, which or the light and the fire that your spirit has become, will repel that negative energy, that darkness, and it has to go. They will be making several attempts, but they realize that no, we can't penetrate this spirit. This spirit is defended, and it is defended by light, and this light comes from God. So if you don't learn the way of prayer, your spirit will never be strong. Your spirit will be weak. This is why there are people that after deliverance, you still see that they are still bound. After deliverance, you must work on your spirit. You must learn how to access God, who is also a spirit, to draw that energy to which defend your spirit, which fortifies your spirit and makes your spirit strong, so that no external spirits will be able to invade your spirit. So far as your spirit is weak, it doesn't matter how many times you are delivered, these spirits will always come back again, and it will look as if the initial deliverance wasn't well, or it wasn't done properly. It was done properly, but most probably you didn't go to work on your spirit. So they got the strength to be able to do what? To come back again. Now, there's one more thing I want you to know about masturbation. Masturbation deals with uh, secretions. You release either sperms or the fluid that come from the sex organ of the female. So now these liquids are collected spiritually. So whatever spirit is monitoring your life and ensuring that you masturbate consistently is in charge of collecting these liquids from you spiritually. And these liquids are deposited on satanic thrones, demonic thrones. They are deposited on witchcraft thrones, on married thrones. And the more they deposit these thrones on their these fluids on their thrones, the more bound you become, the more addicted you become, the more weakened you become, the more distraction they bring into your life, the more mess they create in your life. And the way they are using it is using a sexually perverted tool called masturbation to be able to create this kind of conditions in your life. So that these fluids are collected spiritually onto their thrones, and they use it to empower their themselves. They use it to facilitate their demonic and evil activities. So whilst you suffer, so they progress in their evil agendas whilst you suffer. So they do that at the cause of your suffering. So you are suffering, and then they are actually doing well with the activities because you are giving them blood. So you don't want to remain in masturbation. You want to run out of it. If you remain in masturbation, trust me, you have no future. Your future is taken by the enemy. Your future is taken by the devil. The devil has a hand on your future, and you can't be free. You can't be free until you are set free. So the way to completely overcome it is to deal with your soul, which is involved, is to deal with your soul. And the way to deal, the tool to use to deal with your soul is the word of God. Read the word of God. Read the books of the Psalms. every night you are going to sleep. Let them become your thinking patterns. Let them become your thought patterns. Think on them whilst you are in bed. Instead of thinking about maybe a porn movie, or about thinking about something sexually perverted you read, or something sexually perverted you heard, you want to think about the word of God rather, because that is where the energy is absorbed from the mind, then it gets to the heart. So the more you think about the word of God, the more now you're going to be absorbing the thoughts of God. The thoughts of God are transmitted as energies. The heart of God are transmitted as energies. So they go through your mind, through uh, into your heart. And eventually, as these thoughts begin to come, the energies that these thoughts are bringing into your heart, they will flash out any thought that is resident in your heart, which is darkness. They to be flashed out. It can't stay there at all. It can't stay there at all. It's a method that uh, if you comply with it and you are diligent in it, you find yourself overcoming masturbation easily. So this is like a self-deliverance uh, way for you to be able to overcome masturbation. Use the word of God. Use prayer. Anything that comes from God, it comes in packets of energy, and they are transmitted as signals, as light signals into your spirit, and then your soul absorbs it. So feed on the word of God. Use prayer a lot. Always be at prayer points. Many a times avoid visiting sexual perverted areas and communities, but be very frequent with maybe church activities. If you have a church, you go. If you don't have a church, you go find a very good church and then patronize their services, patronize their prayers, their online prayers platforms. Patronize some of them, the ones that are very good. Patronize them, and eventually you build yourself out of this bondage. That is the way to deal with it. You disconnect yourself from the spirits. You disconnect yourself from the pressures of the spirit. You disconnect yourself from the appetites of the desires of the spirit. And then you reconnect yourself with God. So you realize that this thing called masturbation will no longer stay with you. It will surely go. It will surely go. It will surely go. Now, apart from using this method, the other way you can also overcome masturbation is to look for deliverance, where you look for a man of God, you look for a church where they believe in deliverance and they do deliverance. And then there the man of God can deliver you from the bondage that is in your soul. So it disconnects your spirit from that spirit that is giving you this pressure, this sexually uh, at pressure. He will disconnect you spiritually from it. And then when he has prayed for you, disconnected from you, now you have to resort to these methods. You study the word of God and then you pray. Study the word of God, you pray, then you learn how to fast. You learn how to starve the body a little. You know how to starve the body. At least try to fast from 6 to 3 p.m. Sometimes 6 to 5 p.m. Sometimes 6 to 6 p.m. Learn how to starve the energy, the negative energies of your soul, the negative energies that are like appetites in your soul. Learn to starve them. And as you starve them and you starve them over and over, eventually you realize that those appetites, the strength of those appetites, they wane down, go down completely, and you find that you are totally free from this art of masturbation. So this is the way to overcome masturbation. This is the way to defeat masturbation. And I encourage you to stay with the word of God. Stay away from worldly songs, worldly movies, because most of these people who do these things are themselves sexually perverted. So the more you stay under uh, their songs and their movies, it's like you are pouring petrol in a fire. You are already burning with fire and you want the fire to go off, but the people you connect yourself with are sexually perverted people. So eventually the energies that are in them will be transmitted into you. So those sexual energies will be transmitted into you, and the more you are trying to fight your way out of these sexually perverted uh, acts, you realize that it becomes a challenge, because you are still hooked up with the old things that you are doing. You need to get out of the old stuffs and then make Jesus your friend. Follow Jesus, get a good church and go, and you surely see that you have overcome it. So don't forget it. You deal with masturbation from the spirit realm, from the spirit perspective. You deal with masturbation from the soulish perspective. Then you'll be free. God bless you. See you in that again. Bye bye.